Welcome to Decode China channel. From today, I'll introduce China to you, one fascinating topic at a time. Today, we'll explore how China builds cities faster than anyone else. Imagine a brand new city springing up from bare ground in just a few years, skyscrapers, highways, and stadiums appearing almost overnight. In China, this scene is reality. The country's pace of urban development is unprecedented in human history. Between 2011 and 2013, China used more cement than the United States did in the entire 20th century, a statistic symbolic of its construction frenzy. How is it possible for China to build cities faster than anyone else? In this video, we'll find out, from nationwide coordination and giant state builders to standardized construction and innovative technologies, all working together to raise megacities in record time. Unprecedented scale and speed of urban growth. China's urban expansion is staggering in scale. Over the last few decades, hundreds of millions of people have moved from countryside to city. More than 20 million Chinese citizens have been relocating to cities each year, equivalent to adding the population of a metropolis like New York annually. In 1978, less than 20% of China's population lived in urban areas. By 2020, that share reached about 60%. Accommodating this wave required building infrastructure and housing at breakneck speed. By one estimate, half of all China's infrastructure was built since the year 2000, an almost unbelievable timeline that has transformed the landscape. Entire new cities have risen from almost nothing. Shenzhen, for example, was a small fishing town of about 30,000 people in 1980. Today, just over 40 years later, Shenzhen is a futuristic megacity of around 17.5 million residents, a boom unparalleled in modern history. And Shenzhen is not unique. China had over 220 cities above 1 million people by 2009, compared to only 35 such cities in all of Europe. These facts underscore a simple truth: China builds at a scale and speed that the world has never seen. Now, let's explore how this is done. Centralized coordination and long-term planning. One fundamental reason behind China's rapid development is centralized national coordination coupled with long-term planning. The Chinese governance model allows leaders to set bold development goals and marshal resources across the country to meet them. Projects that might stall elsewhere due to fragmented jurisdictions or political debate can advance quickly in China under a unified vision. Officials often refer to this as the whole nation system, meaning the government can concentrate resources to get things done on major projects. In other words, when Beijing calls for a new city or rail line, the entire country can be mobilized to build it. This centralized approach is evident in China's tradition of multi-year development plans and city master plans. Urban planners work on long-term blueprints spanning decades, which the government steadfastly supports once approved. For example, the World Bank noted that China's high-speed rail boom benefited from a well-analyzed long-term plan, supported by government, with minimal changes once approved. Stability and clarity in planning mean that everyone, ministries, local governments, and companies, pushes in the same direction. Standardized design templates are often developed at the national level for everything from highways to apartment blocks, so projects don't start from scratch in each city. Indeed, standardization of designs was a key enabler in rolling out the vast high-speed rail network so rapidly. More on that soon. Crucially, Beijing can coordinate multiple regions and industries to support a single project. This is sometimes called a national coordination model, and it's exemplified by initiatives like the new Xiong'an new area, a city being built from the ground up on former farmland near Beijing. Announced in 2017 as a city of the future, Xiong'an is directly overseen by the central government and is rising at remarkable speed. By design, its development draws on resources from across China. Already, dozens of major state-owned companies have moved offices there, and over 860 billion yuan has been invested in Xiong'an's infrastructure in just a few years. The area's permanent population has swelled to 1.36 million by 2024 from virtually zero when it was established, a testament to how fast a centrally backed new city can take shape. In short, China's unified planning and command structure enables it to launch massive urban projects and see them through quickly, with far fewer interagency hurdles than in many countries. The role of state-owned enterprises, SOEs, another engine behind China's rapid city building, is its army of state-owned enterprises, especially in construction and engineering. These gigantic companies, effectively extensions of the government, bring enormous capacity to execute projects quickly. In China, many facets of infrastructure are dominated by SOEs, from railways to power grids to telecommunications. This means that when a big project is greenlit, the builders, suppliers, and even financiers are often sister arms of the state, ready to coordinate swiftly. A vivid example is the construction of China's high-speed rail (HSR) network, the largest in the world. In just 20 years, China went from having virtually no high-speed rail to possessing the globe's longest HSR network. How? Largely thanks to state-owned companies. China's railway construction firms, train manufacturers, steel producers, and power companies are mostly state-run, and they worked in unison to achieve this feat. The rails, the electricity, the telecommunications, all produced by majority state-owned enterprises. PBS NewsHour reported on China's rail boom. Even the raw materials were supplied by SOEs. One steelmaker, the state-owned Baosteel, grew so large during the boom that it was producing as much steel as the entire United States by itself. With virtually unlimited backing, these firms could blitz through construction targets that would stagger private companies elsewhere. State-owned enterprises accelerate building in several ways. Firstly, they command huge workforces and fleets of equipment, enabling round-the-clock construction. Secondly, they often operate under directives to build fast and worry about profits later. For instance, Chinese SOEs rapidly laid thousands of kilometers of high-speed track even in less populated regions, taking losses in the short term, something a private company might avoid. But the Chinese government, as owner, views infrastructure as a public good and long-term investment, so projects forge ahead at speed. Finally, SOEs collaborate rather than compete when necessary. On megaprojects like the South-North Water Transfer Canals or nationwide 5G rollout, multiple state companies will coordinate efforts under government supervision, eliminating delays that bidding wars or contractual disputes might create. The result is a capability to build big and fast. Whether it's a 55-kilometer sea bridge, a 180,000-seat stadium, or an entire city district, chances are a Chinese state enterprise is in charge, and they've likely done a dozen similar projects before. The sheer repetition of projects gives them expertise to streamline each new one. In summary, China's state-owned giants act as the construction muscle behind the master plans, translating centralized vision into concrete, steel, asphalt, and glass at unbelievable speed. Standardized construction and prefabrication technology building at such breakneck pace is not just about who is doing it, but how it's done. Standardization and prefabrication are key strategies China employs to accelerate construction. Simply put, Chinese builders often rely on repeatable designs and factory-made components, rather than bespoke, on-site construction for each project. This approach turns construction into an assembly process, faster, more efficient, and easily scalable. Take China's approach to high-rise housing. In many Chinese cities, you'll notice apartment towers often look similar. That's no accident. Designs for residential buildings have been highly standardized, allowing architects to reuse proven blueprints and contractors to reuse methods. Components like concrete floor slabs, wall panels, and even entire bathroom units are mass-produced in factories. They are then trucked to the site and assembled like Lego blocks. This method, known as volumetric modular construction, dramatically cuts down on on-site labor and time. China has heavily promoted such prefab construction. Banks offer easier loans to developers who use prefabrication, spurring growth in the prefab industry. The result, entire structures rise in days or weeks, not months, once foundations are ready. Some almost unbelievable feats highlight China's prefab prowess. Back in 2015, a Chinese firm, Broad Sustainable Building, assembled a 57-story skyscraper in just 19 days using modular sections built 90% in a factory. That was impressive, but they've since broken their own speed records. In 2021, Broad built a 10-story apartment building in 28 hours and 45 minutes, essentially in one day. And in January 2024, they topped that by erecting a 26-story residential tower in only 5 days. These projects weren't magic, they were the product of meticulous planning, standardized design, and pre-made parts. Broad uses a Holon building system of foldable, container-sized modules that slot together on-site, a bit like flat-pack furniture for buildings. Such innovations mean a building's pieces arrive almost fully finished, walls with insulation, wiring, and plumbing pre-installed, leaving workers mainly to bolt modules together and tighten the bolts. This strategy proved invaluable in emergencies. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the world was astonished as China built entire hospitals in a matter of days. In early 2020, facing a viral outbreak, Chinese crews constructed 2 large field hospitals, Huashinshan and Leishinshan in Wuhan, in roughly 10 days each, start to finish. Bulldozers broke ground on live television, and a little over a week later, the facilities were treating patients. How was that possible? Much of the credit goes to prefabrication and organization. Multi-story ward modules, built off-site, were shipped in and crane-lifted into place, while thousands of workers toiled 24/7 in shifts. The scene looked chaotic but was in fact highly choreographed, a real-life time-lapse of a hospital assembling like a puzzle. These instant hospitals showcased how China's mastery of modular construction and rapid mobilization can literally create life-saving infrastructure in the blink of an eye. Beyond buildings, standardization also speeds up infrastructure. The high-speed rail lines all use a standard track gauge, standardized bridge designs, and even similar station layouts, allowing engineers to copy-paste solutions nationwide. Bridges for rail lines are often made of uniform precast segments, manufactured mass and simply lifted into place by specialized machines. By using cookie-cutter components and methods, China avoids reinventing the wheel for each project, a huge time saver. In essence, building a new highway or subway in China is often a rinse-and-repeat exercise. The plans, parts, and procedures have been perfected on previous projects, and workers know exactly what to do. Innovation continues to push the speed limits further. Chinese firms have developed novel techniques like factory-in-the-sky formwork systems, self-climbing scaffolding that allows continuous pouring of concrete on skyscrapers. They're also employing 3D printing in construction and intelligent robots for repetitive tasks. All these efforts aim for the same goal: build faster, build smarter. And when combined with the massive scale of demand in China, they have created a feedback loop. High volume leads to better standardization, which leads to faster building, which in turn handles even higher volume. Streamlined approvals and land acquisition. Building cities swiftly isn't only about construction techniques and manpower. The regulatory and logistical environment plays a huge role. Here, China has significant advantages, by design, that allow projects to sidestep many delays common elsewhere. Notably, the government's strong role in land ownership and a streamlined bureaucracy for key projects mean fewer roadblocks on the path from blueprint to reality. Land acquisition, often the bane of big projects in other countries, is comparatively fast in China. In many nations, assembling land for a highway or new city zone involves negotiating with dozens or hundreds of private landowners, potentially fighting lengthy court battles over eminent domain. In China, by contrast, all urban land is officially owned by the state, and rural land by farmer collectives. The law empowers the state to requisition, compulsorily purchase, rural land for public development, in the public interest. Local governments thus can relatively quickly acquire farmland from villages, compensate and relocate the residents, and convert the land for urban use. While not without controversy or challenges, this process is systematic and backed by law, meaning holdouts rarely halt a project for long. A 1999 land administration law even spells out formulas for compensation to farmers, E.g., a multiple of the land's annual output, standardizing the process. The key outcome is speed. When China decides to build a new ring road or industrial park, it doesn't get bogged down for years in legal wrangling over each parcel. Regulatory approvals for construction are likewise coordinated and expedited, especially for priority infrastructure. China's planning system is highly integrated, often described as unified planning frameworks, meaning projects face fewer overlapping jurisdictions or contradictory rules than they might in federal or devolved systems. Environmental impact assessments and public consultations are required, but the timeline is streamlined and unlikely to derail a project indefinitely. In Europe or North America, a large highway might need separate approvals from city, regional, and national bodies, as well as survive public legal challenges. In China, once a project is in the national or provincial development plan, lower-level authorities generally align behind it rather than obstruct. Bureaucratic friction is further reduced by centralized decision-making. A single government commission can often coordinate all necessary permits in parallel. This efficiency is by design. The leadership has urged that infrastructure projects move from conception to implementation more efficiently by cutting red tape. Special development zones and pilot cities also enjoy relaxed regulations to speed up growth. From the early days of Shenzhen's special economic zone, where officials could fast-track business and building permits, to today's new free trade zones, China often uses regulatory flexibility as a tool to accelerate development. For modular construction, as noted earlier, the government even offers incentives, like easier financing and tax breaks, to encourage developers to adopt faster prefab methods. In short, policy and regulations in China are crafted to enable rapid building, not hinder it. All these factors, concentrated land ownership, centralized planning approvals, and pro-construction policies, combine to create a high-speed development environment. For example, a multi-billion-dollar high-speed rail line can receive the political go-ahead, secure land rights along hundreds of kilometers, and start construction within mere months, a process that might take a decade of hearings and court cases elsewhere. By one comparison, Europe struggles with fragmented approval processes and multi-jurisdictional delays, whereas China's unified system cuts through such obstacles. This is not to say every project in China is smooth sailing, but structurally, the system is geared to approve and build, not debate and defer. Real-world examples of rapid development. Let's explore a few concrete examples that showcase China's city-building speed in action, bringing together all the elements we've discussed: central coordination, state enterprise muscle, standardization, and streamlined logistics. Xiong'an New Area. City of the future in the making. Xiong'an New Area is perhaps China's boldest current city-building project. Announced in 2017, Xiong'an is a brand-new city being constructed about 100 kilometers southwest of Beijing on what were once rural counties. The goal, to create a high-tech, green, model city that will help absorb population and functions from overcrowded Beijing. What's striking is how fast Xiong'an is coming to life. In just a few years, major infrastructure is already in place: expressways, a high-speed rail station linking to Beijing, and even a large sports stadium with 40,000 seats. By 2024, Xiong'an's permanent population reached 1.36 million people, many of them workers and families attracted by the new opportunities there. This rapid progress is no accident. Xiong'an is directly backed by President Xi Jinping as a Millennium Strategy, a project, and it's under the direct oversight of the central government, unusual for a city, indicating its national importance. What this means in practice is that ministries and state firms have thrown their weight behind Xiong'an. Centrally owned enterprises, SOEs, are relocating their headquarters there en masse. By late 2022, the first 4 central SOEs had set up headquarters in Xiong'an and several more were under construction. Over 4,000 companies from Beijing have registered branches in Xiong'an, bringing capital and jobs. All of this has been coordinated through government policy, essentially instructing and incentivizing entities to populate the new city. Construction itself proceeds on a wartime footing. Xiong'an is one giant construction zone, with thousands of workers and cranes erecting office complexes, apartment blocks, universities, and parks simultaneously. The authorities boast that Xiong'an is taking shape at remarkable speed. Indeed, large-scale infrastructure and relocation are advancing in tandem in a highly organized dance. Notably, development is guided by an elaborate master plan through 2035, ensuring that even as it's built quickly, it adheres to high standards, like reserving 70% of area for green space and water, to create an eco-city. Xiong'an encapsulates the whole nation approach. It exists because the nation decided to will it into existence, pooling resources from across China. If successful, it will stand as a testament to how fast China can build an entire metropolis from scratch. Shenzhen, from fishing village to megacity in 40 years. No story about China's urban miracles is complete without Shenzhen, the poster child of rapid development. Now a bustling tech and finance hub of over 17 million, Shenzhen's growth has been astonishingly swift. In 1980, as mentioned, Shenzhen was a modest town of 30,000 on the border with Hong Kong. That year it was designated China's first special economic zone, SEZ, kickstarting market reforms. What followed is sometimes called Shenzhen Speed. Skyline-defining projects went up in months, and the city kept expanding outward and upward at a furious pace. By the early 1990s, visitors spoke of cranes everywhere and entire districts under scaffolding. Migrants poured in by the millions to fill new factories and offices. By 2005, Shenzhen's official population had reached 12 million, 99% of whom were migrants from other parts of China. Shenzhen's explosive growth was fueled by several of the factors we've discussed. Central planning and policy support gave it special privileges, tax incentives, land leasing rights, and flexibility to approve projects without Beijing's step-by-step approval. State-owned enterprises and investors were encouraged to develop there, creating an early construction boom of ports, power plants, and industrial zones. The city's government, empowered to act autonomously as an SEZ, laid out a master plan and rapidly built roads, telecom networks, and housing to entice businesses. Over time, Shenzhen standardized its urban layouts. Witness the grid of high-rise apartment communities that now cover what used to be paddy fields. The city embraced prefabrication and modern construction tech as well. For instance, some of China's first experiments with modular high-rises were in the Pearl River Delta region, which includes Shenzhen. The results speak for themselves. In roughly one generation, Shenzhen transformed into a modern metropolis with glittering skyscrapers, including the 115-story Ping'an Tower, a super-busy container port, a sprawling subway system, and dozens of continuous urban districts. It's often cited that Shenzhen goes through a century of development in a decade, a slight exaggeration, but not by much. The city's story showcases how long-term vision combined with fast execution can create an urban giant out of virtually nothing. Shenzhen today is a blueprint that other Chinese cities have tried to emulate, albeit few have matched its sheer speed of ascent. High-speed rail, a network built at lightning pace. China's high-speed rail, HSR network, is a definitive example of building fast on a national scale. 2 decades ago, China had 0 kilometers of true high-speed rail lines. By 2021, it had over 38,000 kilometers, more than the rest of the world combined, and still expanding rapidly. The plan is to reach 50,000 kilometers by 2025 and 60,000 kilometers by 2030, connecting virtually every city of significance by bullet trains. The speed of this build-out is hard to fathom. Imagine laying an average of 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers of rail per year, including bridges, tunnels, stations and all. That's what China achieved for over a decade straight. This accomplishment was made possible by central coordination, standardized tech, and SOE efficiency. Beijing drew up a comprehensive railway master plan in the early 2000s and later augmented it with the mid- and long-term railway plan, mapping out a vast grid of north, south and east-west high-speed lines. Thanks to the government's commitment, that plan barely wavered. It was executed faithfully, which gave confidence to companies to invest in equipment and training. Standardization was baked into the program. The HSR uses a limited set of train designs, with Chinese manufacturers refining models originally imported from Japan and Europe, unified signaling systems, and a standard track design, with most lines built on elevated viaducts using identical precast bridge sections. This meant construction teams could replicate proven methods all over China. And because multiple segments were built simultaneously by different state firms, managed competition helped keep both speed and quality high. An illustrative case is the Beijing-Shanghai high-speed railway, a 1,318 kilometers line completed in just over 3 years of construction, 2008 to 2011. Over 130,000 workers at peak were involved, and different sections were prefabricated and built in parallel. The project benefited from what observers call a China speed. Decisions were made quickly. Any problems encountered were solved on the fly by experts on site, and work continued 24/7 in shifts. The end result, trains now cover the distance between Beijing and Shanghai in 4.5 hours, a trip that used to take over 12 hours by conventional rail. Similar timelines can be seen for other major lines, like the Guiyang-Guangzhou line through mountainous terrain, completed in 4 years despite dozens of tunnels and bridges. Beyond the hardware, the way China plans networks holistically contributes to speed. When a new city is built or expanded, planners often ensure a high-speed rail station is part of the blueprint from the start, as seen in Xiong'an new area, which opened a gleaming HSR station early in its development. This integration means infrastructure isn't retrofitted later, it's built hand-in-hand with the city, avoiding future disruptions. The high-speed rail story is ultimately one of a country treating infrastructure as a strategic priority and unleashing the full force of its system to realize it. As one analysis succinctly put it, China's unified approach enabled projects to move from conception to implementation more efficiently than in more fragmented systems. Today, high-speed trains knit China's cities together, and new lines are still being laid at a rapid clip, a living example of how fast China can build a transformative national project. Sponge cities, rapid rollout of urban innovation. Building fast isn't just about concrete and steel, it can also mean quickly implementing new urban concepts. One interesting example is China's Sponge Cities initiative, a modern effort to make cities more flood-resilient and eco-friendly by redesigning how they handle rainwater. Launched in 2015, the program aimed to turn paved, flood-prone cities into absorbent sponges by installing parks, permeable pavements, green roofs, and wetlands that soak up rainfall. Here too, China's ability to mobilize at scale is on display. The government kicked off the Sponge City initiative by selecting 30 pilot cities in 2015 to 2016 to lead the way. These cities, including metropolises like Wuhan and smaller cities like Zhenjiang, were given central funds and technical guidance to start retrofitting their infrastructure. In a short span, hundreds of projects were launched, park lakes were expanded, concrete banks were replaced with natural vegetation, new drainage systems were laid. For instance, Wuhan, a pilot city, built or restored dozens of retention ponds and wetlands and laid permeable pavement on many of its roads to reduce runoff. Another pilot, the city of Zhengzhou, invested nearly 60 billion yuan from 2016 to 2021 in Sponge City measures, an enormous sum aimed at overhauling its water management in just 5 years. While the Sponge City program is a work in progress, and extreme floods still pose challenges, as seen in recent years, the speed at which it was deployed is telling. By 2020, scores of cities across China were incorporating sponge features in new developments, and the government set targets for cities to collect and reuse 70% of rainwater. What other country could so swiftly mandate a new urban design philosophy and see it executed in neighborhoods nationwide? The process wasn't without hiccups. Some cities moved faster than others, but China's centralized push ensured that the idea of sponge cities went from paper to practice in a matter of a few years. In many places, residents could see new parks, bioswales, and rain gardens appear within a single municipal construction season. This example highlights an aspect of China's rapid development, the ability to pilot innovative solutions on a large scale quickly. Whether it's a new kind of eco-city or a smart traffic system, once the central government endorses it, cities vie to implement it fast. The Sponge City initiative, in essence, piggybacked on China's fast construction apparatus. Instead of building more roads or buildings, they were rebuilding parts of cities, like drainage and landscaping, swiftly. It's a sign that the China speed can apply not just to expansion, but to upgrading and adapting cities swiftly as well. Emergency builds, hospitals in days, and other feats. We touched on the Wuhan emergency hospitals earlier, but they deserve a brief spotlight as the ultimate example of fast building. In January 2020, as COVID-19 cases surged in Wuhan, the government decided to construct a dedicated makeshift hospital, Xiong'an, to isolate and treat patients. The timeline was almost unbelievable, 10 days to build a 1,000-bed hospital from scratch on an open lot. Yet, they delivered. Watching the process became a global sensation. Millions tuned into live streams as earthmovers and cranes worked day and night. Prefabricated cabin units, each a ward for patients, were delivered by the truckload. An army of around 7,000 construction workers rotated in 12-hour shifts. Engineers on site adjusted designs in real time to fit the rapidly evolving needs. Remarkably, another hospital, Xiong'an, 1,600 beds, was then built in the following week. This was a perfect storm of all factors: central coordination. The order came from the top, SOEs, state construction firms led the project, prefabrication, modular units, and streamlined approvals, no bureaucratic delay in an emergency. While extreme, the Wuhan hospital episode demonstrated to the world how Chinese infrastructure teams could compress what might be a months-long project elsewhere into mere days. It's worth noting that China has a tradition of such rapid mobilization for emergencies, from quickly rebuilding quake-hit areas to setting up temporary housing. But the COVID hospitals took it to another level, essentially showcasing instant infrastructure. Beyond hospitals, China has pulled off other rapid builds that verge on the miraculous. In 2015, a crew in Beijing famously demolished and rebuilt a major highway bridge in under 43 hours, over a weekend, by using prefabricated bridge sections to swap in a new span immediately. In 2018, a new railway station in Fujian province was assembled in 9 hours by 1,500 workers in synchronized effort. The time-lapse of that also went viral. These examples might be special cases, but they exemplify a broader truth. Given a clear goal and deadline, Chinese builders will marshal overwhelming manpower and resources to get it done, fast. It's almost part of the engineering culture now, a source of pride. Dubbed China Speed. Conclusion: a new paradigm of city building, narrator's reflective tone. As we've seen, China's ability to build cities and infrastructure at record pace comes from a confluence of systemic, organizational, and technological factors. A centrally coordinated vision, backed by the might of state-owned companies and guided by long-term plans, sets the stage. Standardized practices and modern prefab technologies inject efficiency and speed into every construction site. And a supportive regulatory environment, from land acquisition to streamlined approvals, paves a fast track for development. In China, these pieces work in harmony, allowing a new highway, skyscraper, or even entire city to materialize in what feels like the blink of an eye. Importantly, we've told this story without delving into politics or value judgments. The focus has been on how the machine operates, rather than the ideologies behind it. And in purely practical terms, the Chinese approach demonstrates what is possible when a nation prioritizes infrastructure and mobilizes to build it quickly. The results are there for all to see: gleaming megacities like Shenzhen, vast megaprojects like the high-speed rail grid, and ambitious new experiments like Xiong'an and the sponge cities. Each example underscores a different aspect of the overall system, but they all come back to one core attribute: speed through organization. For international viewers, China's building frenzy can seem almost like a futuristic movie on fast forward. It challenges the conventional pace of urban development. Other countries may not replicate China's model wholesale. Every nation has its own governance and priorities, but there are certainly lessons and innovations to take away. Whether it's adopting modular construction to deliver housing faster, or improving coordination between agencies for big projects, China experience offers a new benchmark of efficiency. In the end, how China builds cities faster than anyone else is a story of human will and ingenuity reshaping skylines at a breathtaking tempo. It's a story still unfolding. As we speak, somewhere in China, thousands of workers are laying rails across mountains, pouring concrete for a new tower, or planting trees in a newly minted park, all on a timetable few would believe possible. Love it or not, this ultra-rapid urbanization is one of the defining phenomena of our era. China has shown the world that cities can indeed be built on fast forward. The skyline of tomorrow might just arrive sooner than we ever imagined, and in China, tomorrow's skyline often arrives today. Thank you for joining us in this exploration. Stay tuned for more insights into the engineering marvels and urban wonders shaping our world.